Hello and welcome to my website. I hope you find the material that's on offer of interest. But most of all, I hope it's able to reflect a deeper and a truer and a more intimate experience of yourself. An experience of yourself beyond the mind's idea of itself, which we have mistaken ourselves to be. We have mistaken ourselves to be the entirety of the mind's experience. And in doing that, we have limited ourselves from all that we are. And the mind, in this experience of separation, in this experience of a limited experience of itself, it imagines a world that is somehow separate to itself, and that it is made of a substance that is not itself, which science, which is an activity of the mind, tells us is matter. And this mind's conceptual reality that it believes to be true is also made of things, and it is full of others that are not itself. And it believes all of this to be true, but this is not its direct and actual experience. Even in its belief of separation, there is no actual world that it is experiencing that is separate from itself. And there is no direct and actual experience of others in its experience of a world of others. The mind is, even in separation, only able to experience itself, experiencing ideas that are not itself. And so even in separation, there is no actual separation. And the mind is truly convinced that this idea that it has of the world and this idea that it has of life, in which it imagines itself to be somehow separate from, it only ever exists in the mind that believes it. And this is the activity of the mind. The world is an experience of mind. And the mind begins to dance with itself through this idea that there is something other than itself. And it looks to the world to know itself some more. It looks to the world to experience a more convincing and a more definite and permanent experience of itself. In its experience of limitation, it looks to the world for a fuller, a more meaningful knowing of itself. And this looking for itself takes on all sorts of seeking and activities, and life is full of a seeking, some form of seeking. Whether it is a seeking of a more convincing experience of ourselves through education, in terms of becoming the intellectual, becoming the knower of knowledge, or the seeking takes the role of success, whether that be sporting, whether it be financial, career, again educational. All forms of success create a more convincing experience of ourself, or a more convincing experience the mind has of itself. And this can also take the shape of loving. And so the experience of loving our family and loving our close loved ones. And this gives us a stronger and more definite experience of ourself, or the mind's experience of itself. And all of this is seeking. It's all seeking a more convincing and more believable experience of ourself. But the mind is only ever experiencing itself in all of this dance. It's experiencing itself through the idea that it is experiencing something other than itself. And this seeking for itself, seeking of itself, can also take the role of spirituality, in which it begins to seek itself as something other than the world experience of itself that it believes it's having. And even in spirituality, the mind is looking for a more definite and perhaps otherworldly experience of itself that it can believe itself to be, and that it may be convinced is its true self. But all of this seeking in life is an activity of the mind, in which it hopes to know itself some more. But you are beyond the mind's activity. You are the intimate knowing of all experience. You are the presence, the universal presence that is the same intimate knowing of myself as the same intimate knowing of yourself. There is only one indivisible universal presence that is the I am that we intimately know ourselves to be. And this intimate knowing of ourselves is intimately knowing itself as all experience. And the knowing of all experience is made of knowing. There is no separate things and no separate experience of another in our knowing of experience. There is simply the knowing of ourself. And when this is truly realized, we realize that there is a realizing that we are and were always ourself. And it is in fact the activity in looking for a more convincing version or experience of ourself that is the very thing that vowed the true and intimate experience of ourself. And in knowing this intimately, the activity of the mind is allowed to be as it was, is allowed to be exactly as it is. And we are rooted in the experience, an intimate experience of ourself, in which we know that we are the experience of all things. And that experience is only ever an intimate experience of ourself.